is very powerful, and it can move any troop in the game, including a heavy golem. It can shift that card to a different place on the map. Now, the golem is a heavy troop, so when you put a tornado spell on top of a crown tower, or even a king tower, shouldn't the people on those towers get shifted around too? Because in comparison to the weight of the golem, they probably weigh a lot less. Now, it would definitely look ridiculous if we saw the king on the king tower, or the princess on the crown tower get shifted around and thrown down to the playing field. What I think Supercell should do to the tornado spell, because they can move a golem, they should make it so that when the spell does get played down on the field, it even changes game visuals. Maybe if you place a spell near bushes or even near water, grass, rock, and debris could get thrown up, then to create a more appealing tornado, or even maybe if this spell is placed near the water, a mini whirlpool could be created. All I'm trying to say is that Supercell can be much more creative with this spell and its visuals to make this spell an even more fun card. Number 2. Miner troop visuals. Now, when the miner goes from point A to point B, it does an underground burning effect. Now, the problem with this visual effect is that the miner's burning effect shows dirt getting popped out under the ground when he's going in any arena. Now, arenas such as Builder's Workshop and Pekka Playhouse have no dirt on their map, just concrete, metal, and steel. When the miner is underground in these arenas, there should be no dirt or grass appearing in his visuals. Instead, shifted metal and concrete should be shown when the miner is underground and digging. This is just a small visual change that should be made to the miner to give Clash Royale's visuals a bit more depthness. Number 3. Executioner's boomerang effect. Now, we all know that when the executioner throws his axe, he gets the axe back in a boomerang effect. And although this makes no sense, we can't really judge this too hard, as Clash Royale is a fictional game that goes by its own rules. But I was able to find one cheeky glitch with this card. During an executioner's mid-throw, when the axe is out of his hand and doing the boomerang effect, if you freeze the executioner while the axe is out of place, this card will visually have 2 axes. One axe that is in motion and still doing damage, and while he's frozen, he'll have 1 axe in his hand. So visually, although this card should only have 1 axe at a time, he'll have 2 axes. Now, this glitch does 0 difference to affecting Clash Royale's gameplay and the game mechanics. But if this visual bug is fixed, the game's visuals will look a bit more accurate. Number 4. Ammunition glitch. Now, with cards such as the Bowler, Bomber, and Royal Giant, these cards somehow throw big objects, including boulders, bombs, and cannonballs, that take up a lot of space, and they somehow get re-ammunitioned out of nowhere. For example, if we take a look at the Bowler, he throws a massive boulder, but then somehow, a couple seconds later, he gets another boulder. There's no animation rearming himself with another boulder by, like, just digging through the ground, getting more rubble. So in terms of game visuals, this doesn't really make any sense. And same thing with the Royal Giant. He puts the cannonball inside the cannon and then gets a new one out of nowhere. And thirdly, with the Bomber, after he throws a bomb at a target, a new bomb reappears in his hands out of nowhere. Now, with the Royal Giant and Bomber, I don't know how an animation would work of these cards getting new ammunition, but with the Boulder, he could somehow maybe show a quick animation of him digging the ground. Now, what do you guys think? Would a visual change make the card look better visually or cheesy? It's hard to tell. Number 5. Clash Royale shields. Now, in the game of Clash Royale, cards including the Dark Prince and the Guards have a shield effect, where a small wooden shield with a gold badge on it can block a rocket and a fireball and even a lightning spell, and that shield is made of wood. If we take a look at Clash Royale commercials and gameplay of these cards, the shield is clearly made from wood and some small parts of metal, and this small shield can block an entire rocket. This doesn't make too much sense. I personally do love this effect in the game. It makes these 2 cards very unique, but just saying in terms of physics, this doesn't make any sense. Now, a cool thing that Supercell could do to these shields is give them different visuals. Make it look like these shields are made from gold or diamond, to make it look more persuasive whenever one of these small shields block a rocket. Visually, this would make more sense and make these 2 cards with very low play rates more appealing. Number 6. The balloon. Now, in past Supercell advertisements for Clash Royale and Clash of Clans, the balloon has been shown to get popped by a single arrow and other subtle but small objects. If we take a look at Clash Royale's gameplay, the balloon can take multiple hits from arrows, lightning spells, and other attacks that normally deflate the balloon in real life. Now, Clash Royale is a fictional game, so if it wasn't for the Clash Royale commercial where the balloon got popped by 1 arrow, I'd probably let this pass. But because in Supercell's commercial of the balloon, it got popped by 1 arrow, this simply doesn't make any sense in terms of gameplay when the 2 are compared, and that's why we can call this one a mistake. Number 7. how the rocket spawns. Now if you're ever feeling bored, go ahead and record a game of yourself using the rocket. If you slow down the frames and you look closely, when your rocket does spawn, you'll ask yourself, how is this possible? Now when you spawn down a rocket, it doesn't come from the side or the back of the map. The rocket simply spawns in the middle of your king tower out of nowhere. If you pause the frames, in one frame, there'll be no rocket on the field, and then the next frame, the rocket will all of a sudden just appear on the map. Now because the game happens so quickly, frames per second of Clash Royale is 60. It's hard to notice this, but if you're ever replaying one of your games in ×4 slow motion, you'll definitely notice this weird rocket spawn visual. Now what could Supercell do to change this? Well, they could make it so that the rocket spawns outside of the map and just comes into the screen. But honestly, at this point, I'm just being very nitpicky. The rocket's visuals are pretty good, and I was just being a bit questionable when I was watching my rocket spawn in ×4 slow motion in one of my replays. Finally, at number 8 is the Mega Minion. Now I could say this about all the flying cards in Clash Royale, and that question is, how exactly do these cards fly? If you zoom in on the Mega Minion, this troop is pretty heavy. It has armor, massive arms, and does a lot of damage. If you zoom in on its wings, the wings are like tiny. They're like the size of a small piece of paper. Now of course Clash Royale is a fictional game, and we shouldn't even be questioning things like this in the first place. Like another weird question we could ask is, how do these cards get spawned down on the arena? These cards just land on the field out of the air. So asking about the Mega Minion's wings and how this card does fly is a bit of a low question when compared to that question. But the point is, it just looks ridiculous visually when we see cards like the Mega Minion with tiny wings flying with a lot of armor. Another example is the Lava Hound. That card is as heavy as the Golem. It's a massive tank. But then again, its wings are small. They're almost the same size as a Mega Minion. Physically and visually, it kind of does look ridiculous. Is it a cool vibe how the troops in Clash Royale have weird body proportions? Should they keep this weirdness in the gameplay, or should Supercell go for a realistic vibe? Make sure to comment down below your answer, and I'll be sure to pin your